My grandmother kept her petroleum jelly in the kitchen drawer, next to the pliers, and it took me about 40 years to understand why. Everybody's house has a jar of it somewhere. Almost nobody's jar ever leaves the bathroom. But the women who raised me had that stuff on the door hinges, on the light bulbs, on the good leather shoes, and on the back of a child's knees before church. It wasn't a skin cream to them. It was a tool, and they used it like one. 21 jobs, and only about half of them have anything to do with your skin. There's one near the end that explains why this jar has done absolutely nothing for a lot of the women who've tried it, and it's got nothing to do with the jar. Number 1. The ring that will not come off. The one you've worn for 30 years won't go back over the knuckle, and the more you pull, the more it swells. Get the jar, work it right around and over that knuckle until the whole thing is slick, and get some down under the band if you can. Then turn the ring instead of pulling it. Turn and ease, and it'll walk itself off. Cold water first if the finger's puffy. Hold your hand up over your head a minute if it's really bad. But the jelly's what does the work, and I've never once had to go see the man at the jewelry store with the little saw. Number 2. Ink on a good shirt. This is the one that surprised me most, and I didn't learn it until late. A ballpoint pen lets go in a shirt pocket. You get that black bloom on the front of a white blouse, and you already know how this ends, because ink never comes out of a white shirt. Only this time it will. Work petroleum jelly straight into the ink with your thumb, right down into the weave, and be generous. Then leave it alone, 3 or 4 hours, overnight if it's a bad one. Then wash the shirt the way you always wash it. Why it works is the part that makes me laugh. The jelly turns an ink stain into a grease stain, and grease is the one thing your laundry detergent was built from the ground up to remove. Against ink on its own, it hasn't got much to work with. Number 3. Why does a light bulb break off in your hand when you go to change it? Because it's been sitting in that socket 6 years, in a porch fixture or a basement or a bathroom, and the metal has welded itself to the socket. The glass twists off the base, the threaded part stays stuck up in there, and now you've got a job you didn't plan on. Wipe a thin film of petroleum jelly on the threads of the new bulb before you screw it in. 2 seconds. 6 years from now, it comes out in one piece, in your hand. Outdoor fixtures and garage door openers most of all, because those are the ones that get damp and cold and seize the hardest. Number 4. The perfume that quits by noon. You put it on at 8 in the morning, and by lunchtime you can't smell it, so you decide you got a weak bottle. You didn't. Scent burns off dry skin fast, and it hangs onto anything oily. Put a dab of petroleum jelly on your pulse points first. Wrists, the sides of the neck, behind the ears, the crook of the elbow. Then spray on top of it. It'll still be there when you get home. Try that before you go spending money on the bigger bottle looking for a stronger version of the same perfume. Number 5. Price stickers. Anybody who saves jars knows this fight. You want the jar. The label peels off in 3 pieces, and the gum underneath goes gray and rolls up under your thumbnail. Smear petroleum jelly over the sticky patch and walk away from it. 10 minutes, 20 if it's old. Come back and it wipes off with a dry cloth. No scratching, and no leaving the jar soaking in the sink all night. Works the same on the ring a price tag leaves on a picture frame or a plastic tote. What it won't do is lift that gum off bare wood or off paper, so don't go trying it on a book. Number 6. That blue and white crust growing on a car battery is corrosion, and once it gets thick enough, the car will crank slow or not crank at all, and you'll go buy a battery you didn't need. Clean it off first. That part matters, because sealing jelly over the crust just traps it. Once the posts are clean and dry, Put a coat of petroleum jelly over the outside of the terminal and the clamp, not down in between them where metal has to touch metal. It keeps the damp out and holds the corrosion off for a long while. The purpose-made product for this is dielectric grease, and if you want to buy it, buy it. My daddy did this with the jar out of the bathroom cabinet his whole life and never once got stranded. Number 7. Cotton balls. Take a bag and work petroleum jelly through until they're saturated and gray looking. Keep them in a jar with a lid, out in the garage or wherever you keep your matches. One of those tucked under the kindling will hold a flame for several minutes. A wad of newspaper flares and dies before you can get anything going. Several minutes is long enough to start damp kindling. Wood stove, charcoal that won't take, or the night the power goes out and it's cold and you need the fireplace to actually work instead of just smoking at you. It costs almost nothing, and it keeps in that jar for years. Number 8. Wax that won't come out of the holder. Before you set the candle in, wipe a thin film of petroleum jelly in the bottom of the cup. When it burns down, the wax comes out in one piece with a push of your thumb. No hot water, no putting the holder in the freezer overnight, no digging at it with a butter knife and chipping the good crystal. Same for a hurricane lamp, and same for those little votive cups you only bring out at Christmas. Number 9. The bottle nobody can open. Nail polish welds itself shut. Wood glue too, and the small tin of touch-up paint, and anything with a threaded cap and something sticky inside it. Wipe a bit of jelly around the threads of the neck before you put the cap back on. It never seals. 6 months later it opens with 2 fingers. It won't rescue one that's already gone thick and gummy on you, because that's air getting in over the years and the jelly's too late for it. But you'd be surprised how much perfectly good polish gets thrown out for no reason except that nobody could get the lid off. Number 10. Lipstick on your teeth. That's the house. From here on, it's all on you. This one comes out of the pageant world and it works. A small dab of petroleum jelly rubbed across your front teeth, then put your lipstick on. Wipe it off after, and don't go swallowing it, because the jar will tell you itself that it isn't something to eat. But your lip slides over the tooth instead of catching on it, and you get through a whole reception without somebody having to give you the look from across the table. Number 11. Before a relaxer, before a box color, before a hot comb, you ring the hairline with petroleum jelly. Across the forehead, down in front of the ears, over the tops of them, and around the back of the neck. A real coat of it, not a smear. Every black woman my age knows this, and a lot of younger women have had to find it out the hard way. That grease is what stands between a chemical and the skin it will burn. It's also what keeps a box color off your forehead so you're not walking around for days with a brown stripe over your eyebrows. Miss Ruthie down the street did hair in her kitchen for 30 years, and she wouldn't let you sit down in that chair until she'd greased you all the way around. She'd seen what happens to the women who skipped it, and she wasn't going to have it happening in her kitchen. Number 12. Edges. This is the original. Before there was a shelf of edge control at the beauty supply, there was a jar of petroleum jelly and an old toothbrush, and that's what laid every baby hair in the neighborhood. A very small amount on a soft brush, worked in the direction you want the hair to go. Small, though. That's where people go wrong, because too much of it and you've got grease sitting on your hairline all day collecting lint. Turn one of those little tubs over and read what's in it. A lot of them are petroleum jelly with a fragrance and a holding agent stirred in, sold in a container about the size of a shot glass. They do hold better, they ought to, for the money. Number 13. The hinge that wakes the house. There's one in every home, and it announces to everybody when somebody has gotten up in the night. One dab of petroleum jelly, down where the pin sits, and it stops. Same jar handles the zipper that catches halfway up a coat, and the wooden drawer that swelled up one summer and has fought you ever since. On the zipper, run it along the teeth on both sides and work the pull up and down a few times. On the drawer, take it out and rub it along the runners. It does pick up dust and lint over time, so on something you're touching every day, you'll be doing it again in a few months. And don't put it on anything rubber. I'm going to come back to why. Number 14, dull leather. Work boots dry out and start to crack across the bend, and once that goes far enough, the boot is finished. A handbag you loved sits in the closet and goes dry the same way. Patent leather shoes for Easter go cloudy on you. A little petroleum jelly on a soft cloth, rubbed in small circles, then buffed off with a dry one. The leather goes darker while it drinks, then comes back up with a shine on it. On patent leather, it takes that haze right off. Never on suede, though, and not on a good sofa or a bag you paid real money for, because a proper conditioner is made to feed the leather, and this only sits on the surface. On a work boot, it's exactly the right tool. Number 15, chafing. Thighs in July, the band of a bra on a hot afternoon, the back of your heel in a shoe you haven't broken in yet, and you have to be somewhere in it anyway. A thin coat of petroleum jelly on the spot before you go, and the two surfaces slide instead of grabbing. If you're going to be on your feet all day at a church function or walking a shopping center end to end, do it before you leave the house, because once the skin's already raw, you're only sealing up a sore. Marathon runners live on this, and it's the same jar off the same shelf. Number 16, the earring hole that closed up. Leave a piercing empty a few months and it tightens, and then the post won't go through. Most women give up on the good earrings rather than fight it. A touch of petroleum jelly on the post with clean hands and it slides in instead of catching. If gentle pressure isn't doing it, stop and let somebody who does this for a living open it back up. That's not a job for a determined woman with a stud and a bathroom mirror. Number 17, taking the face off. Waterproof mascara is the reason people buy that little two-tone bottle of remover you have to shake up first. You don't need it. A small amount on a fingertip, worked gently over closed eyes, and the whole business melts. Mascara, liner, the foundation along the jaw, all of it. Wipe it away with a soft cloth, then wash your face after, so you're not going to bed sealed up with the day still on you. Keep a separate little pot for your eyes, and stop dipping a dirty finger into the family jar. Petroleum jelly doesn't really spoil, but it will get contaminated, and that's the real reason a jar ever goes bad on anybody. Number 18, cracked heels, the kind that catch on the bed sheet. Do this at night. Wash your feet, dry them, take the pumice to the rough part while the skin's still soft, then put petroleum jelly on the heels good and thick, then a pair of cotton socks, and sleep in them. Cracking is a dryness problem, and this holds water in the skin overnight better than anything else you've got in the house. 2 or 3 nights running, and you'll feel it when you walk. This is the most reliable thing on the list, and it's the one your grandmother would have told you first. Number 19, ashy knees and elbows. Here's the one I promised you. Petroleum jelly doesn't moisturize. There's no water in it and nothing in it that feeds skin. All it does is seal, and it seals better than anything else you own. So when you rub it onto dry skin, you've just locked the dryness in, and then you tell everybody it did nothing for you. It works on damp skin, right out of the shower while your legs are still wet, or over the top of whatever lotion you already use. Put that on first and the jelly over it. Get that order wrong and you get nothing out of this jar at all. And if plain petroleum jelly doesn't agree with your skin, and for some women it doesn't, the healing ointment sitting beside it on the same shelf is about half petroleum jelly with other things worked into it. It seals less and it's easier to live with. There's no shame in buying that one. The older women had it worked out without anybody explaining it to them. Plenty of them mixed it with shortening out of the can and greased the children down after a bath, while the skin was still damp, before church on Sunday morning. They had it exactly right, long before anybody thought to give it a name. Number 20. Once a cut has closed over, keep a thin layer of petroleum jelly on it and keep it covered. Now, this is where somebody always wants to talk to me about the word petroleum. Yes, it comes out of a refinery. It gets refined until there's nothing left in the jar but the jelly, which is why the same stuff is the base of the antibiotic ointment in your medicine cabinet, and why a doctor will send you home after skin surgery and tell you to keep plain petroleum jelly on the stitches and nothing fancier. One ingredient. That's the entire label. A wound kept moist doesn't build a hard scab, and a wound that never scabs heals flatter and leaves less of a mark behind. All those years we got told to let a cut dry out and get some air on it had it backwards. Not on an open, dirty, or deep wound, though. And never on a fresh burn or a sunburn, because it seals, and a burn is trying to let heat out. Number 21. When you've used too much. The biggest complaint anybody has about petroleum jelly is hair. It doesn't shampoo out. People wash 3 and 4 times and it's still sitting there, and I've heard from women who fought it for weeks. If it happens, stop shampooing. Work cornstarch or cornmeal all the way through the dry hair first, right down to the strand. Let it sit a few minutes, then comb it out. The starch takes up the grease and carries it out with it. Then wash with a clarifying shampoo or a little dish soap 2 or 3 times through and condition afterward because you've just stripped that hair bare. So that's the 21. Now let me give you the ones that don't work, because there are 5 going around about this jar that it has no business anywhere near, and the first one can actually hurt you. Start with the dangerous one. Petroleum jelly will not get a tick off you. The idea is that you smother it and it backs out on its own. The Centers for Disease Control names petroleum jelly specifically and says don't, because a tick you're suffocating gets agitated and can push more of what it's carrying into you. Fine tip tweezers right down flat at the skin and a slow, steady pull straight out. No twisting, no jelly, no lit match, no nail polish. Your eyelashes won't grow either. There's nothing in that jar that talks to the part of you that grows hair. It conditions the lashes you already have and makes them look darker and fuller for the evening, and that's where it stops. People do get styes and eye infections from putting too much of it up there, so if you do it at all, use hardly any, and keep a clean little pot just for that. Blackheads. You'll see that one everywhere, and it's nonsense. Petroleum jelly seals a pore. It has never once emptied one, and women have gone at it nightly for years waiting on a result that was never coming. Rubber, which I said I'd come back to. Greasing the rubber seal around a car door so it doesn't freeze shut in winter gets recommended constantly, and it wrecks the seal. Petroleum swells rubber and then leaves it brittle, so you buy yourself one easy winter and a cracked seal after it. Silicone is what that job wants. Same for a rubber gasket anywhere in the house. And don't grease a pole to keep the squirrels off the bird feeder. I understand the temptation, I do, but it gets on the birds, and a bird can't preen grease out of its feathers, and one that can't get it out can't fly. The wildlife people take them in covered in it. Put a baffle on the pole instead. Don't mix lemon into it for dark spots either. Citrus on skin plus sunlight gives you a burn and dark patches that sit there for months, which is the exact thing those spots were bothering you about in the first place. And go easy with it in February, when your nose has been rubbed raw from a cold all week. This jar is genuinely good for that, but the rim of the nostril is where it belongs, not up inside, and not every night is a habit. You breathe a little of it in each time, and the lungs have no way of clearing it back out again. The proper answer for a dry nose is a humidifier or a saline spray. The jelly is for the sore skin on the outside. One jar with one ingredient in it, sitting in the drawer next to the pliers because that's where a tool belongs, doing the work of a shelf full of things you've been buying separately. The women who taught me this had one jar and no money to buy a different bottle for every job, so they went and found out everything that jar could do. I've been finding out ever since, and I'm still not done. Tell me in the comments what your grandmother kept hers for, because somebody watching has one I've never heard of, and those are the ones I want.